Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston. This is a place where souls are definitely nurtured and people's lives are transformed through the studying and practicing of the science of mind philosophy founded by Dr. Ernest Holmes. My name is Reverend Ed Tansey, and I am privileged and honored to be your spiritual leader, along with Reverend George Stewart, who likes to be called Rev G. Okay. And we welcome you to our wonderful community, our community of love, our community of abundance and peace and joy, and I can go on and on about the beautiful nature, the divine nature of people in this center. This is CSL Greater Boston, and we are located in very cold right now, Cambridge, Massachusetts, on 50 Dudley Street. And I invite any of our home viewers who are watching this on Facebook, I believe, if you're ever in the area, come on down, visit us on some Sunday, and experience our loving community. I would like to thank all who have so far supported this live stream ministry, and if you haven't as of yet, you may go to our website, cslboston.org, go to the bottom of the home page, it's on the left, and click the donate button. And there we ask you to open your hearts and your consciousness and begin your donating process. So, the theme, the 2018 theme for all of the centers of spiritual living is 100 Years of Science of Mind. And January's theme is Living the Science of Mind. And today's talk is, Science of Mind, using it. Okay, Science of Mind, using it. Okay. So last week, we referred to the science of mind as a guidebook, an instructional manual on how to live a magnificent, joy-filled, abundant, prosperous, and magical life. And within those pages, Dr. Ernest Holmes created, as I call it, his masterpiece of masterpieces. Now, there's many books he wrote, and I'd like to talk about one of the books, this thing called life. And that, I'm seeing head shake, good, is a powerful book that he wrote. It really explains how our thinking becomes the law of our life. And that instead of blaming your higher power, God, whatever you might call that higher power, for our suffering and our challenges, it would be better to understand the need to change our thinking, which will in turn change our lives. Now, this isn't as easy as it might appear, and it can be done, though, with effort and practice. The goal to understand that we are co-creators, people, with God, and connected to the all-knowing, I invite you to read this book. Now, here's a little trivia. In 1949, Dr. Ernest Holmes preached a radio program that aired every Sunday evening at 4 p.m. This thing called Life. And this radio, he did this from the Wilton Theater at the corner of Wilshire and Western in Los Angeles. And this thing called Life program was syndicated over the MBS, Mutual Broadcasting System. And look at that, though. I found those two pictures. I think that's pretty interesting. And he began every show with this statement: there is a power for good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. So, this guidebook, the SOM, the Science of Mind, this instruction manual talks about the many, many, many different ways of using the power of good in the universe. Now, how many here in the sanctuary are using the power? How many are using that power? Raise your hand if you are. How nice to see. And think about that at home for our home viewers. How many of you are using the science of mind? You know, if a hand didn't raise, I'm going to say this. Guess what? Each and every one of you, each and every one of you are using this power always. Always. Now, I see some looks right now like saying, like, where is this guy going with this? Where is he going? You know, but see, I know this because I know that all of us, very simply, all of us, all people everywhere, simply show up. Show up in life. Remember, the outer world, the world that we see in front of us, that manifests in front of us, is a mirror image of our thoughts and our beliefs. So I look at my world, my outer world, that I have put myself in, so to speak, that I look at this world, that I have the blessings and gifts of living through each day. Hear what I said? The blessings and gifts. And I know that I had part in creating that world. I had a large part in creating that world, that reality. So if I like what I see in my life, I say, yay, Reverend, yay, good for you. I pat myself on the back. I hug myself. Now, on the other side of that coin, if I do not like what I see, if I do not like what I see in my life, then I know that I have the power to change my reality by changing my thinking. I know you have all heard this statement from me before, and of course, our dear family, you can change your thinking by changing your life, or you can change your life by changing your thinking. Okay? Now, people, this is not rocket science. It takes time and effort. It takes time and it takes effort. And I always say, anything that is good for me, anything that I do that helps me be a better me and experience the magic of life is worth me putting in time and effort. I mean conscious time and conscious effort. You know, earlier I said that we are all using this power in the universe. You are always using it, even when you think you're not, people. So now I see that I am getting even more strange. Look, what do you mean I'm using it and when I'm not using it and all of this? Here's what I am talking about. Be conscious of your thoughts. Be conscious of your actions, your beliefs. So hang in with me about, like, you know, I still don't understand. I can use it even though I'm not using it and all of that. So, how many of you here in the sanctuary have heard me said before, I wanted to weed the garden? I hope I see some hands. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, remember now, I'm not talking about the garden in my backyard whatsoever. I am not talking about me getting on my knees, which I do in my garden, but I'm not talking about that garden and play around in the dirt and pull weeds, etc. What I am talking about is my mind's garden. My mind's garden. The seeds or thoughts I plant in the soil or the law, the creative medium, become plants or manifestations in my world. You following that? Okay? Now, We're always having thoughts enter our mind, am I correct? Thoughts always are entering our mind. But not every thought manifests. The only thoughts that manifest are the ones we give energy to, are the ones that we put our feelings into and our emotions, etc. So when I'm weeding my garden, I am making sure that the seeds or thoughts that I plant are the ones that produce positive manifestations. The seeds or thoughts that would produce negative manifestations, those are the ones I weed out. And by that I mean work on to change those beliefs, to change those feelings, to change those thoughts. Again, the ones that do not serve me well are the ones that I am consciously going to change. Okay? The ones that are counterproductive for me to have that magical and magnificent life. That is mine to have, that is yours to have, simply because of who and whose each one of us are. It's everyone's birthright. We are children of the divine, made up in its likeness and image. In its likeness and image. So, what gets me there? It's my spiritual practices that help me accomplish the inner work that I must do. Spiritual practices such as meditation, contemplation, spiritual mind treatment, journaling, visioning, etc. This is what keeps me in alignment with the divine, with God. This keeps me in the place of becoming more and more conscious of my words, more and more conscious of my thoughts. Now, what I just explained to you was the creative process. Now, many of you in class have seen this: seed, soil, and plant. Seed are your thoughts. You put them into the soil, which is that creative medium that is always working, and ta-da, you have the plant. You have the manifestation in your life. And this process is always, always at work. So any thoughts that we impress onto the law, that creative medium, any seed we impress into the soil will show up as that manifestation in our world. And it shows up, people, to the degree that it does is based on the amount of feelings and emotions that you put on it. Would you be in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay, very, very good. So even when we think we're not using this power to create our life, we are, because the law is always working. So, if we have thoughts of abundance and joy and prosperity, we are going to experience abundance, joy, and prosperity in our lives. If we have thoughts of lack and discontentment, guess what? That, my friends, is what you will experience in your lives. So, what do you want to see in your lives? Remember, it is done unto you as you believe. Gee, we've heard that before, haven't we? It is done unto you as you believe. So since we are already using this principle of the law, we might as well use it consciously for our good and the good of all humanity. Now, I'm bringing all this up about your thoughts and how you really create your reality. I'm doing this not to make anyone feel bad about yourselves. I'm bringing this to your attention so that you can be conscious of the power that each and every one of you have, the power that you have as wonderful spiritual beings. You have such power, people. Such power. And you know, in the past, if you have set yourself up for failure by your thoughts and your beliefs, I ask you to recognize that. And then to love yourself knowing that the fact that you can change those thoughts and beliefs. But as you go through this inner work, it's imperative that you love yourself through the process. You love yourself through the process. But I'm sure there's no one here who set themselves up because of their thoughts and beliefs, right? Not a person in this room, or probably not a person out who is viewing this at home. All right, so remember this. Blaming and shaming does you absolutely no good whatsoever. It's a waste of energy. But loving, hugging, and appreciating yourself does such a world of good. And anytime you go within and work on these processes, that is the time for loving yourself. Because as you do it, really, who are you loving? Yourself and?
God.
Thank you, God. You're loving God. You're loving your higher power, yes. And I can stand here and say without a doubt, you will love the results. You will love the results you get when you go within and do the work, or tune up as I like to call it. You know, you will really love the results. So when I look at my life, what is manifesting in my life is becoming a living lab. So now what does one do in a laboratory? Tests. Experiment. One experiments. Excellent. Guess what? We are all eternally evolving. Would you agree?
Yes.
Our lives show up as our growing edges. Yeah? Every aspect of our life, if you're open to it, offers opportunities, people, to become more and more aware and more conscious of how we are using it. The law, and we have the opportunity to use it more consciously, more freely, more abundantly, more creatively, and more joyfully. And this is being in alignment with the truth of who and whose you are. This is being in alignment with the divine, with the higher power, with your higher power. So getting back to that guidebook, that instruction manual, The Science of Mind, it really is a magnificent piece of work by Dr. Ernest Holmes. It's a magnificent piece of work when we use it and put it into practice. Now, if you have that book and it's on your shelf and you never use it, you never practice what's inside it, all the information in the pages, if you never do anything with it, guess what? The book is worthless. It's a worthless book. So I invite you to read it. I invite you to follow and practice it. And look at all the areas within the book as a guide. And this is when the book becomes the magnificent piece of work that it actually is. And I know undoubtedly, as I said before, that when you use this book and realize the power that each and every one of us have, this is when our lives become joy-filled, become magnificent, become abundant, become magical. I might have said that before. Whatever. It becomes beautiful. You can wake up every morning and smile and know that you've co-created this with the divine. And you know that all that the divine wants is the best for each one of its creations. And every one of us are the creators of the divine. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Rev Ed.
You're welcome.
Inspiring. Inspiring.
So Reverend Ed has told us that the science of mind philosophy, that what and how the science of mind philosophy works. He has further told us that we are using this power all the time for the desired or the undesired stuffs in our lives, right? So for the desired and the undesired. We're using it all the time. So the important thing is to take hold of that and make that a part of your life. Now, Ernest Holmes said in the Beverly Hills Lectures, our movement will not depend on a talk as I am giving you now. Our evolution, what it will mean to the world, will not depend on the books we write. It will depend on what we do with it. So like Reverend Ed said, if the science of mind is sitting on your shelf, or even if you're reading it, if you're not practicing it, then it's doing nothing for your life. It may inspire you for the moment, but it doesn't work in your life if you don't work it. So it is important to realize that. So like Reverend Ed said, that, you know, we get all our learning from the books, but we can get all this stuff. I remember once someone saying, you know, oh, well, I've read the entire science of mind. I know everything I need to know about it. And yet this person's life was falling apart. So you may think you know everything you need to know about it, but if you're not using it, then it's not working in your life. So I want to share a comparison of spiritual mind treatment and shopping. How's that for an interesting concept, right? I love this. And I know, it's like you think, what are you talking about? But this is a way of seeing how we're using this stuff all the time. Okay, now I got this from Reverend Dr. Frankie Timmers, who is our sponsor minister as we prepare for ordination. And so she said you were welcome to share this comparison. So this analogy works whether you're shopping online or in the store. So first I want to take us through the steps of spiritual mind treatment as a reminder, right? Because it's always good to get a refresher since we are back to basics this month. So the first step is recognition. God is all there is and all things I might desire. God is all there is and all things that I might desire. You know, things, experiences, whatever we want to use there. Unification. I am one with God and all that I desire. So I'm already one with God and one with all that God could bring into my life, all of the good. Realization. This is where I'm declaring and affirming my desire. What do I desire? What do I want to have in my life? What do I want to experience? Thanksgiving. Accepting and giving thanks for my desire as though I already have it. This is important. Not in the future. Now. As though I already have it, even if it's unseen in my life at that time. And the last thing is I release. So I have faith in the law of mind to make it so. In other words, I know that it is going to happen according to the law of mind, which is that creative medium that Reverend Ed spoke about, the soil, that middle area where we are planting the seeds of our thoughts. So now, let's go to shopping. I love this. This is so awesome. You're going to love this. Anyway, so recognition. I find the store or the website that has the desired product, right? That's my recognition. I take the time to recognize the store or the place where I want to find my product. Okay? Unification. I go to the store or I connect online. I'm unifying with it, am I not? Right? So then we go on to realization. I put in my order with all the specifications. What do I want? How do I want to experience it? What am I looking forward to in my life, right? So already I'm like moving right through the steps of prayer and you don't even realize it, right? This is like a consciousness we use all the time. Thanksgiving. I accept my desired item and give thanks if appropriate. If I'm in the store, I say thank you so much for selling me what I needed, and I leave, right? Do we all think to say thank you when we buy something? Yes. When you're in a store? I think it's so important. Something I learned when I went to France once was that if you go into a store, you always greet the owner, and you always say thank you even if you don't buy something. And I loved that, you know, and I think that that's something we should always practice, because I think it's really important, because it's recognizing each other. The last thing we do is we release, then leave the store or close the internet. Done. How's that? And you're using this all the time. So why do we complain about spiritual mind treatment sometimes? Or why do we not think to do it first? Right? Because we're already doing it. It's just putting it into the context of the things we may not physically see in our life right now. It's using it in a way that is totally outside of what we have been taught, which is really what that's all about. So we're just knowing it's done. By using those steps, we're knowing it's done. So here's the question I have for you. Do we have more faith in stores, Amazon, and the U.S. Postal Service than we do in spiritual mind treatment?
No.
I like to hear that. But sometimes we do, right? There are those times. No, come on, guys, you're giving me the right answers here. I know how it works. Because I do it too. Right? Sometimes, exactly. We get caught up and we just fall into that stuff, you know. And that's right, now that's right. It's like, what do you mean? Okay, then that's the time to do the spiritual mind treatment. If the product is out of stock, that's when I need to do my spiritual mind treatment, right? Because then I can create that reality in my life. I can bring it forward. So let's take the faith we have in shopping and use it to embody our spiritual mind beliefs in this teaching. Let's take our understanding of how easy it is to shop and use that in our lives. Because I can shop anytime. The spiritual practices that Rev Ed shared with us, contemplation, meditation, all of those things, visioning, all of those different wonderful spiritual practices, find the one that resonates with you. Because that's what's important. If it doesn't resonate with you, if sitting in meditation makes you crazy, then you need to find maybe a different way to meditate. Some people think, oh, meditation, I have to sit on a cushion and close my eyes and be completely disconnected. Sometimes it can be a walk in nature, a walk by the ocean, or just sitting by the ocean and watching the waves hit the shore. That's meditation. We get this whole idea that meditation has to look a certain way. It doesn't. It doesn't. Sometimes meditation you can actually experience in a crazy and nutty environment. I can find a place of calm even in complete nuttiness. Because there's no reason I can't. Because it's my reality. And that's what that's about. So we use the phrase, I know, so often. Anybody use that phrase a lot? I know what you're talking about, right? But are we really meaning it, or are we just doing lip service? Are we just using lip service? In order to demonstrate something, I need to embody it. That's what Reverend Ed was telling us. I need to embody it. Like, if I leave the Science of Mind sitting right here, it's not going to help me. So I need to read it, and then I need to embody it. Because that's how I get the manifestation. That's how I get it. Here's a great formula to think about, and Reverend Ed touched upon this. Thought plus feeling equals action. Thought plus feeling equals action. The feeling is the embodiment of it, is bringing it down into form, into your life, into your reality, saying this is how it is. And knowing it, that is what we're talking about when we talk about I know. Reverend Ed sometimes when he prays says, I know that I know that I know that I know. And that's getting our minds and our beliefs into that place of knowing so that we can experience whatever it is we desire. So knowing is becoming aware of our thoughts and keeping them in a place we desire, and then allowing those thoughts to sink into our feeling nature. Then, voila, demonstration takes place. When I've done that process, when I've moved into that place of my deep feeling nature. So here is a song that will empower us to understand this at a deeper level. You can sing along with it if you like. I do have the words, and yes, I'm sorry to spring that on my tech person, but yes, we do have a song in there. This is our thoughts, our prayers.
We
You can
ready?
Sing along. Yes, I am ready. You can sing along with the gentleman who every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers, that spirit resonates with. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness, and know that God is always here. And every thought becomes a prayer. Feel it deepening. Deepen it into you. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you are saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness. Know that God is always here. And every thought becomes a prayer. How's that feel? Take that in. Because it is. That song is the truth. Every thought is a prayer. And it's up to us to choose those thoughts wisely. To choose what we desire. So, in doing all that we just talked about today, all that Reverend Ed spoke about, all that I spoke about, in doing this, we are getting a bigger bowl of acceptance and using it. Right? In Living the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, we should increase our receptivity and have a greater faith if we wish to experience a larger degree of livingness. You want to experience a larger degree of livingness? Yes. So our bowl of acceptance must be held up so that the outpouring of Spirit may be measured into our individual experience. So what I want you to do with me here today, I love this visual that I came up with. Take a moment and imagine what your bowl of acceptance looks like. Close your eyes if you want to, but I'd like to say hold your hands out in front of you. What does your bowl of acceptance look like? Is it big? Is it small? Get a feeling for that. Now hold that up to receive your good from Spirit's infinite source. It is now overflowing with your desires. Namaste.
So if you'd like, close your eyes, be present in this moment for our spiritual mind treatments. The purpose of this treatment is for me to know each one becomes completely aware of how their thoughts become their prayer for greater good in their life. Knowing that there is one mind that is continuously and eternally thinking beauty, love, peace, joy, opulence, health, wealth, every good thing comes forth from this source of life, this essence and substance of the possible. It is eternal. It is in, as, and through all of its exquisite creation. It is the giver of all life. Knowing I am one with this power, this presence, it is who I am. It is the mind that I think, every thought. It is who I am. And as I know this truth about myself, I know it is the truth about each one present here today, each one present on Facebook, each one present everywhere. Each one is this mind, this eternal creative mind, thinking love, peace, joy, abundance, vitality. It is who each one is. And in this place of absolute unification, I speak this truth for each one here today and present everywhere. This belovedness is the underpinning of all life. It is the intentional thought for each one's life. It is the very divine essence of the chain reaction that began the day each soul arrived here on planet Earth. The complete and eternal embodiment of truth and beauty, of opulence, of health. This is the reality back of each one. Knowing that this is the possible. This is what lies within the heart and the mind of each one here. Every thought, every word, every action, every feeling that is participated in becomes the prayer for greater good in each one's life. This life that is loving itself through each one here. This one prayer that has prayed itself into manifested form as each one here. This is all there is. This is the eternalness of each one's life. And prayer becomes the driving force of each one's life. It is a wondrous and joyous occasion to participate in spiritual mind treatment intentionally. I am so grateful to speak this word, to know this truth that exists right here and right now. And that each one's life becomes filled with love and joy and beauty and peace, perfect vitality, opulence beyond. And in this place of gratitude, I release this word into the law of love, knowing it is already done. It is complete. I say amen, and together we say, and so it is.